In this video, we're going to look at mastering our note taking. This is our quick guide to achieving mastery on training session notes for class. Let's look real quick at the 3 steps for taking training session notes, which is especially good if you're new to this. Step 1 is to access the Edpuzzle video posted on Google Classroom. These will be videos either created by your teacher or chosen by your teacher to help you begin to learn about accelerated topics for the subject area that you choose. Step 2 is to take notes on a sheet of notebook paper or with digital writing using a pen, iPad, that kind of thing. Using the resources in this guide and some of the other stuff that I'll be posting for us, you'll get an idea of what mastery looks like with a notes page. You'll need to watch the entire video that you're presented with, write text and examples to show your learning process, and it basically just show that you've got the building blocks of this topic. Step 3 is to turn your notes into the basket for a mastery check. Your teacher's going to review your notes to see if you achieved mastery with these notes. Remember, with this form of mastery, you don't need to be perfect at the topic yet to show mastery with notes. Notes are about building your ideas, showing that you're learning, and basically getting a foundation for the process that you're going to build upon later with other activities. So in this case, with showing mastery on notes, you just need to show your effort to learn the topic. And we'll show you some ways to do that. Before watching the video that you're going to get, that you'll use to take your video notes for your training session, think about what the video is about, why you're watching it, and how it relates to what you already know. If you are doing a video on geometry basics, think about what you know already before that video begins, and it might take the processing that you're going to do for the note taking. It might make that a little bit easier for you. It might help you get some ideas of what you don't know and what you need to pay attention to in particular. Ask yourself, what content objective or project is this video supporting? What key terms are important for that objective or project? What is the video title, and what do I think it will be about? And what do I already know? What do I want to learn? During the video, pause the video to write down key concepts and main points, including important terms, definitions, processes for how something works, and important details about the topic. Videos will often help you find key concepts and main points by breaking after saying something important, or underlining, bolding, or highlighting the words on the screen, or signaling by saying, "This is important. Remember this part. There are 3 main examples that you need to pay attention to," etc. Oftentimes, the person doing the video will repeat the same word, phrase, or idea over and over, and that's probably because they really want you to know that for a test, or in our case, because it's a really important topic that's going to help you build more later on that. If you haven't heard a key point, pause the video after every 1.5 to 2 minutes to write down the main idea or gist of what it was talking about. So now let's look at more info. Pause the video after important sections or sections with examples, diagrams, images, or charts describing a key idea or key term. One nice thing about video notes, as opposed to a teacher lecturing or discussing in front of a class, is that you can pause, you can rewind, you can look at diagrams and things and take your time with whatever's presented on screen for you and put that into your notes. It's why video notes, doing things on a self-paced method like this, is so much better for you as a student, because you can take the time you need to get the information on your page that you need. Also, think about after watching the video. A lot of times when people tell you to write notes, they leave this part out. You want to go back to those notes that you wrote later, or think about what you just completed. Write a summary of what you learned. Who, what, where, when, why, or how can help you with that. A summary at the end, like in a Cornell Notes method, is a good way to do that. And you've probably seen that method in class, but we'll also discuss it later too. Write questions you still may have about the lesson, and think about what you learned and how it relates to your prior knowledge. Now, this is probably the key slide here. This is how you are going to show mastery on your notes. Your notes should have some combination of these to show that you are learning about the main topic for each set of notes. Remember, for note taking, mastery equals you showing me what you studied and what you are beginning to understand. I'll repeat that. For note taking, your mastery equals you showing me what you've studied, what you've reviewed in the video, and what you're beginning to get. The building blocks, that foundation that you're going to continue your learning on in other things in class. To show that mastery, you're going to need to have key concepts and main points. You're going to need to show important examples, definitions and new vocabulary, references provided. Anything you don't understand, difficult concepts or unfamiliar terms are great for this. You may be asking, how can I show mastery if I'm actually putting things that I don't get? That's okay. That's showing me that you process this information, thought about it, and you're willing to go back to it later. Your thoughts, questions, and ideas also are showing that processing. Giving examples, showing your thoughts, asking questions, and other deeper additions to your notes are good ways to show mastery. You're showing me that you didn't just write things down, not really paying attention, drifting off into space, that you thought about it while you were doing it, you process that information, and that you're beginning to take it in. Now, some important considerations for math students. Your notes will probably look a little bit different. Feel free to organize information in ways that were discussed in previous slides, but it's probably a good idea, especially with math, to do a little bit of practice in your notes. Did you just write down a formula? Great, that's helpful, but create a couple problems to solve on your page with that formula. Does your video have examples of how to do the math? Well, okay, write those examples down step by step, because those are the parts that are going to be confusing later if you don't have those steps. Then work through a problem following each step. Try to have a couple examples of problems or whatever your topic is on your paper, because that's a lot of what you're going to be doing in math is actually solving those problems. So have those steps and have yourself solving the problem out on paper. I have a video here that I'll link so that you can get to it in the description for this. It's one I recorded a couple of years ago that talks about some different types of notes, in particular outline notes, Cornell notes, and some tips for video notes in general. You're going to want to start that at about the 1 minute mark. Now, before we close real quick, couple things that you could pause and look at. Here's a really good guide from online that somebody used to kind of outline how they do notes. It's got some great tips throughout it. Here's a student example that was turned in last year for some online work for Summit. And they do a really good job of showing effective digital notes with kind of the outlines and screenshots, but as well as like the outline where they actually wrote it down. If you do digital notes for training sessions, you need to actually write things using a digital pen. Those are our just kind of starting tips. But remember, to show mastery, you need to show me that you are learning it. And that means more than just writing down the information. Show me that you are processing it, that you are trying to take it deeper.